I upgraded to the iPhone 17 Pro from the iPhone 14 Pro, and 1 week later, I'm not sure if I made the right decision. Don't get me wrong, the 17 Pro is an amazing phone in many ways, and I was long overdue for an upgrade. Now, this 14 Pro has been through the ringer. It's been my content phone workhorse for about 3 years. The storage is almost completely full. I've dropped it more times than I'd care to admit, and wireless charging just stopped working ages ago. So it's time. But there's not as much separating these phones as I first thought just by looking at specs. It comes down to those real world details. So let's start with the big quality of life upgrades between these phones. First is the switch, obviously, from Lightning on the 14 Pro to USB-C on the 17 Pro. It is just nice, so nice to consolidate all of my cables now and toss Lightning to the curb. Now, the screen's anti-reflective coating on the 17 Pro does help cut the glare. It's not as effective as the coating on the Galaxy S25 Ultra, but I am still really happy to see this come to Apple's lineup. I also like the slimmer bezels on the 17 Pro, though I only really notice it when I'm using the phone without a case. And the screen itself now goes to 3000 nits peak brightness outdoors and down to 1 nit as well. Now, in comparison to the 14 Pro, which I take outside in bright sunlight, it dims almost immediately and it gets super hot. The 17 Pro lasts a lot longer at peak brightness before it has to dim the screen. And that vapor chamber definitely does help distribute the heat better across the phone rather than just be concentrated in one area. The 17 Pro also does feel slightly nicer to use without a case. It's a little lighter too. Those rounded edges definitely help with that smooth feel in the hand as opposed to the flattened edges on the 14 Pro. And to be superficial for one brief moment, can we take a second to appreciate deep purple on the 14 Pro? I mean, come on, talk about great color options. Deep blue is nice, yeah, but I guess I'm a strange kind of woman. I like the old one more. Now, of course, we have to talk about Scratchgate because pretty much everyone else is. And after a week of using this, it's fine. But I would love to know your experiences as well. Drop me a comment down below and let me know. Now, I'm not exactly gentle with my tech. I'm very, very clumsy, and you will have seen this firsthand if you watched my Pixel 10 Pro review. I don't have Apple Care either, so I'm definitely putting a case on this. And I've had a case on this for 3 years. Now, I've been liking two in particular. There is a modern leather one from Nomad, which complements the blue really nicely. I'm hoping over time it's going to develop this nice lived-in patina like the AirPods Pro case that I've had for going on 2 years now. And also this leather case, it's a collaboration with Stephen Robles. If you haven't checked out his channel, I highly recommend it. He's my go-to guru on all things shortcuts. It's giving some British racing green vibes, and I am here for it. But overall, if aesthetics are important to you and you're using this without a case, I kind of think the stainless steel look on the 14 Pro does look a little classier. Okay, so aesthetics out of the way, the things that I'm sort of on the fence about that I thought would be more of an upgrade than they actually have been. The action button. Again, not new to the iPhone, but it is new if you're upgrading from the 14 or older. It is kind of really strange because on the Apple Watch Ultra, I absolutely love this button and how it's implemented. But on the iPhone, I guess I'm just not as adventurous with it. And keeping it super honest with you, I've just set it to be the mute and the ring option like the physical switch is on the 14 Pro. And camera control, in theory, absolutely love this, but the muscle memory of swiping left from the lock screen is so ingrained, I just end up accidentally pressing the camera control button when I'm grabbing the phone than I do intentionally pressing it to open the app. So the main reason I upgraded was the camera. Now, the 48 megapixels on all three, great, love that. The front camera with center stage, much more useful than I was expecting. So is dual capture, but then there's the ProRes RAW and the 4K at 120 frames a second. And it really is a compelling reason to upgrade, at least on paper. But in the quick comparison that I posted to my social channels with the video straight out of the camera, most people couldn't really tell the difference. And to be honest, at a reduced resolution with all that compression, I can't really either. Now, if you're just taking photos and videos on default settings with the main rear camera, it's going to be hard to tell the difference. And that is not a knock on the new phone at all. It's actually a testament to how good the camera is on the 14 Pro. It can hold its own 3 years later. That said, there are some improvements that I'm really liking, such as color accuracy on this ultra-wide. Telephoto also has a lot more flexibility now, and the 4x optical is a lot better than the 3x on the 14 Pro. Now, of course, when you go to 8x on the 17 Pro, it is much better. And you can also go all the way up to 40x, which is obviously not great, but it's a lot better than the 15x you can get on the 14 Pro. The front camera is also superior, and there's no doubt about that, I don't think. As someone whose job is content, I do prefer the flexibility and the quality from the 17 Pro. Portrait mode is slightly better too, with more detail, slightly better edge detection. I'm not surprised there. There's also some new photographic styles on the 17 Pro. Anecdotally, I found that they look kind of a little bit nicer than those that I've been playing around with on the 14 Pro, but that could also just be the byproduct of being a shiny new thing. When it comes to battery and performance, this is really the other main reason you're probably thinking of an upgrade, and honestly, this was next to the camera, the biggest one for me. At 83% battery health, my 14 Pro is not lasting the full day on a charge at all. And that's with the always on display turned off. With 4 or 5 hours screen on time during the day, it needs charging just before dinner. And if I take this to an event to film, forget about it. I need a battery pack recharge at least once, probably twice. Oh, and MagSafe wireless charging just stopped working on this one day. Hard reset didn't do anything, so who knows? How did I start a timer? I have no idea. What am I doing? What am I doing? So the 25-watt wireless charging on the 17 Pro is really nice, and the claim for wired charging is 50% in 20 minutes if you use a 40-watt charger or higher. I've been using my MacBook Pro charger because that's the highest one that I have, and it doesn't quite get to 50% in that time frame, but it is close. And honestly, I've never really had any complaints about charge time on the 14 Pro with a fast charger when it's wired. And so far the battery on the 17 Pro is fine. It's lasting a day, and then some change on the other side with the always on display active. Then there's overall performance. I guess if you look at benchmarks and specs, A19 Pro versus A16 Bionic, yes, there is a big difference. But in the real world, it's not enormous. It feels a little bit snappier in day-to-day tasks, and say rendering out videos I edit on the phone is a bit faster too. There's been a few quirks that have taken me by surprise and that have made me want to go back to the 14 Pro. The first is Wi-Fi dropouts. So when I'm at home in the same room with both the phones, the 17 Pro sometimes loses Wi-Fi and switches to 5G, while the 14 Pro is fine. I'm hoping that this is just a bug that gets fixed and resolved in iOS 26.1 because it's really frustrating. Then there's the promise of Apple Intelligence. It just isn't there yet, and what is on the phone, I hardly end up using. Notification summaries are okay when it gets it right and hilarious when it doesn't. Image cleanup is great and super practical, but I keep forgetting about visual intelligence and opening up the Google app to use Lens and Gemini instead. Whoops. So as you can tell, I'm still pretty torn. On the one hand, the camera improvements, the battery, and the screen are significant. On the other though, once you upgrade the iPhone 14 Pro to iOS 26, the experience does feel pretty similar. I guess I could also get a battery replacement for about $100, return the 17 Pro and call it a day. But there's that one thing that we haven't spoken about yet, and that's the X factor. The iPhone 17 Pro has an appeal and, dare I say, a vibe that is more than the sum of its parts. It's not just the shiny new phone in those 3 polarizing colors, it's that it elicits a reaction. You want to talk about it, you want to hold it, and it just feels different from earlier iPhones. And I think that's a good thing.